Welcome to Cats and Rats Podcast, covering your Florida Panthers.
Hey everyone, welcome to the newest episode of the Cats and Rats Podcast. Episode, I don't care what number. Back to back, Stanley
54.
I'm your host, Kirby Lupo, joined alongside by my co-host, as always, Cody Stevens and Nick Levine. How's it going, gentlemen?
It's great. We're
good.
We are officially no longer the bottom of the barrel franchises in the NHL. We've surpassed a lot of franchises now.
Oh, we passed the Anaheim Ducks. I let my brother know that one.
You know, I can always say, it is so nice to say, we own the Edmonton Oilers. We own the Edmonton Oilers. Kirby, I know you got some...
Hold on, Nick. Be careful what you say on the podcast, because you know the Edmonton Journal's listening to every word we're saying.
Everything we're saying.
I don't care. I don't have to be nice anymore.
No, but we were being respectful, but we also believed what we were saying on this series.
Yeah. Listen, if you go back and look at our takes at the Edmonton Journal, nothing we said was wrong.
If anything, we gave Edmonton more credit than
we gave them way more credit than what they
deserved. On
we started this series. You go back and look at previous 2 episodes ago, I believe, the series preview. We were all terrified. Cody, you picked Edmonton in 7.
I did.
You weren't as sure, and I was more hoping, and then I changed. It was always Cats in 6.
It was always Cats in 6. Hit the bell for Nick, but I don't think any 3 of us were that confident.
No, I think when you take a look at it, the way Edmonton had kind of rolled through the West after losing the first 2 to LA, the depth was performing well. They seemed to really fix their structure. I mean, the way they just walked through Dallas was very impressive. I was, you know,
like
walk
through Dallas, walk through Vegas. Like it was
redemption. You thought clinical, masterclass. One could even say.
Yeah, you go back and look at those series. Like, I'll stand on my prediction. I was wrong. Thankfully, I was wrong. But I'm going to stand on what I said because that's just what I believe. I
agree with you guys more in the LA Edmonton series than what you guys said about this Stanley Cup Final series.
Yeah, because everyone saw what they were doing, and people would be like, but it was never going to happen with Stuart Skinner. If you saw the way those guys were playing prior to the Cup Final, we expected a much harder series.
And they came in with their depth flying just like ours was. And when you do preview shows, you got to dig into the other side of the numbers. And I know Nick said you weren't impressed with the Dallas Stars, but that had nothing to do with you saying, I've got respect for the Oilers coming into this final.
No, and I thought they were much better than they were last year. I thought the way Skinner had played, but I thought really the big difference was the way they were playing in front of him. It reminded me very similarly of how we were at when we were at our best last year. It was the redemption part of it, number 1. But number 2, I mean, you just walk through Vegas, clinical efforts, 2-1, 3-2 games. Same thing with Dallas, just unbelievably impressive. Every single facet, I thought, from the depth to their structure, they were very comfortable with. I thought Edmonton was a much better team. Now, I might not say that, right? But I also think you can make the case we were the better team. We've talked about that.
Oh, no. Because we did what we always do to other teams now.
Yeah, and I think
wear them down.
Obviously, we're going to talk about this more. There's a lot of questions for Edmonton now.
Oh,
but this was a series that, for the first game or 2, really looked like Edmonton had the jump, and then it just.
Okay, let me jump in. What was your guys's? And I'll answer first. What was your guys's turning point in the Stanley Cup Final? Mine was it was very late, guys, and I'm up here in Canada. I get all the news on TSN and Sportsnet. In between games 5 and 6, Chris Knobloch, great coach and everything, doesn't know who his goalie is going to be for game 6, doesn't know what the D pairings are going to be for game 6, doesn't know what forwards are coming in the lineup, how the lines are going to look. And what they said was, the Oilers have done this all year. They're playing mind games. We trust in Knobloch here. And then when they get the doors blown off of them after game 6, they criticized him. The media put up this false fake front that the Oilers were figuring things out. You know, this is going 7. And then you see there in game 6, they didn't have confidence with their lines because they didn't know what to do at that point. They were at a loss, Cody.
The turning point, I think the turning point was game 3. Because that, to me, that was the turning point. I want to say second period of game 2. That's truly what I want to say.
I think it was when you saw how rattled Edmonton was in game 3. I mean, after every whistle for half the game, constant BS from Frederick, from Kane, from Wallman, from anybody and everybody after every single whistle. They weren't even locked in. I thought the only time Edmonton was in this series is when they were really desperate. And first of all, and second, when their backs were up against the wall and they could only do that so many times. I thought early in the series, Edmonton had that jump, but the Panthers were the better team for most of it. I thought Edmonton hung on by a thread in hindsight, especially later on in the series. I can't believe how quickly the narrative changed from how tight this series or what everybody perceived the series to be through the first 2, 3, 4 games to what it actually ended up being as the series went along.
You probably should have gone 6 if you look at the numbers, Cody. And Nick
should have won.
I said my point. Nick said his, like the rough stuff, I guess, in game 3 threw Edmonton off for the rest of the series. I don't know if I fully agree with that, but that's Nick's point, and I respect that. What did you know, Cody?
For me,
like
it
that
was
really stood out.
What stood out was the minute our top guys got going. When Reinhart scored that goal to make it 3-1 in game 3, right after when Perry scored that power play goal off that rebound, I thought that was the turning point because at the time, none of Florida's top guns really showed up yet. I understand Bennett Marchand did, but let's be real here. You're not going to include them into the top gun category. The top gun category is Barkov, Tkachuk, Reinhart. Those are the 3, in my opinion.
And Tkachuk got going later, too.
Yeah, and if you want to throw Verhaeghe in there, fine, because he's 40 goal scorer. I mean, yeah, top gun. But that's when it kind of clicked, I think, for Florida. And when I want to say getting period 2 of game 2, that's when Florida really got their game going. Because remember, game 1 was very fast-paced, very Edmonton Oilers-like. And Florida really slowed the game down right around then. I know they tied it with 6-on-5, but they could not play that third period any better.
Yeah.
It's just simply that Lusterine had tied up Perry's stick. It was just a good goal. And then, like, the rough stuff really just told me that
they weren't even like you're in the Stanley Cup Final and you're starting shit after every whistle. I mean, that told me like we're in their head.
And when something happens and I can admit fault to, or that I'm wrong on, or hey, this is not my philosophy, I'm going to say this about the Stanley Cup Final: the metrics and the numbers showed through before the eye test did. But the eye test did catch up by games 5 and 6.
Yeah.
But the numbers
that was the biggest shock for me. Is like the narrative first couple games of this series. Look how close this is. Look how tight this is. This is going 7. At the end of the series is over. You can make an argument we should have won in 5. And that's
was just that where the Oilers only had to lead for 30 minutes of the whole series?
Like 35 minutes. I mean, we scored first in every single game except game 1, I believe.
I think the advanced stats, we were ahead after 20 in every game, or pretty almost.
Yeah, we were up multi-goal leads after each of like the last 4 games.
So I'm never going to say numbers, advanced stats, metrics never matter. I put it at 20 to 30%. But this is what I'm talking about this series, where the numbers and advanced metrics mattered. Because you look at the games and you're like early on, like these could go either way. And you start to dig into the numbers.
And people wonder, like, what was the biggest difference between this year and last year? Edmonton was just way better 5-on-5 last year. And the one thing I stayed consistent on was the McDavid-Draisaitl double shifting is not going to work on us. It's just not going to.
It works on everyone else, so they think it's going to work on us.
I was at each of the games. I can't believe how unthreatened I really felt from Draisaitl and McDavid while they were on the ice. And I'm not criticizing. I'm not like saying they're bad or anything. We closed off everything they had, and particularly game 3, obviously. Game 4, that was more their depth leading the charge, us kind of folding in the second period. Credit to Edmonton. But McDavid and Draisaitl, they look terrible at Amerant Bank Arena. Completely different from the first 2 games in Edmonton. I thought in game 5 was just a continuation of what we did in game 3. And I really thought after game 2, we only had 1 bad period, and it cost us game 4, which is the second period of game 2 of game 4. But how bad McDavid and Draisaitl looked. Barkov, I know he got a lot of criticism. Shut down McDavid. Draisaitl, I mean, that line was doing absolutely nothing. We're in Evander Kane's head. I mean, they couldn't get anything going. King got moved down to the fourth line. And when you start to look at it, you're double shifting McDavid and Draisaitl. And when you're not, you're there with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who was dealing with a broken hand. 40-year-old Corey Perry. I think you start to look at it, it's like, okay, what could have the Oilers done differently? I think what they could have done differently is something that's usually solved in the offseason, not in the Stanley Cup Final.
I just want to jump in really quickly here, guys, on our YouTube channel. If you're watching us, I appreciate it. We're so close to 500 subscribers. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. I have stuff I want to share on the screen about Alexander Barkov, but are we going the David route here? Do we want to talk about this and what his legacy now is?
Well, yeah. I mean,
David's legacy?
Yeah. I want to talk about it on this.
I think he'll be back. I believe it will be with Edmonton, although who knows, right? I mean,
no, but what's his legacy losing 2 Stanley Cups here?
Well, I'll talk about it both sides. Number one, you have to show up in big time moments. Like I saw a stat, I think it was by Drew Livingstone, saying games 6 and 7 last year. I don't know how many points he had. What did he have? Like 1 goal or something and a minus or +5 or whatever. And then games 5 and 6 this year, I don't think he had any. He had only 1 point again.
His 5, 6, and 7 numbers are not turning out well here in playoffs.
So I think from Edmonton's perspective, it's okay. You get to 2 Stanley Cup Finals, David. You got to get the job done. I think it's also a credit to the Panthers. If you really want me to tell you the truth, what that means for talk about legacy, talk about Panthers. They beat Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl back-to-back years in their first 2 Stanley Cup Finals. That to me is just a.
But this was supposed to be destiny.
David's year.
We're going to get into that dynasty talk all summer long here, and a little bit on this episode. But Crosby lost his first Stanley Cup, then won his second. Wayne Gretzky lost his first and won his second. This was supposed to be the coronation of Connor McDavid and Edmonton Oilers coming into this season.
But here's the difference between those 2 teams you just mentioned and McDavid's team. What did those teams have in net? Pittsburgh had future Hall of Famer Marc-Andre Fleury. Edmonton had Hall of Famer Grant Fuhr in net.
And Andy Moog at one point as well, which I think is right.
And who did this Edmonton team have? Stuart Skinner.
And Calvin Pickard. I think that's really the biggest
It
thing.
wasn't supposed to matter, though, when it came.
Okay, I understand that. But if you really take a look, McDavid, Draisaitl, I thought they did all they could do. Clearly, they faced a very good team in Florida. But
no, I think McDavid deserves criticism.
Oh, I do too. But I think at the end of the day, it's like, what could the Edmonton Oilers have done differently? This is that's an off-season question because they knew they had a weakness in net. They knew that there were some holes that they had. You're going to have holes throughout your forward core when you have McDavid and Draisaitl, when you're spending all that money. It's just obvious. Okay, that wasn't the problem. The defense, for the most part, got shored up. Where there's some holes in the forward core and the defense core, sure, whatever. The problem is you can't get – what was their save percentage throughout this playoffs? 890? Like the last team – I saw this on Daily Faceoff. The last team to win a Stanley Cup with above a 3.0 goals against average was the 92-93 Penguins. I mean, you're asking them to do something that hasn't been done in the 21st century.
I don't think it'll ever be done again.
And you can't do it. You need somebody to stop the puck. You can't be worried every time there's a breakaway. Oh, Stuart Skinner. Oh, we can't have that. No, you need your goalie to bail you out. You're going to have holes. McDavid, the depth, it was fine. I know it wasn't as good as it was last year, but it was good enough.
But the power play wasn't good enough for them. And like Cody said, they're forgetting about the 5-on-5 play that they learned last year against the Panthers, and they didn't apply it this year. Because if you look at 2023, it was putrid, like you would say, Nick, against the Vegas Golden Knights. So again, they're not learning their lessons here, and I think that's the most surprising thing. And you have to look at the superstars in the room, and there's got to be accountability on that front. Last year there wasn't.
And part of the problem is with the depth. It's like you look, Adam Henrique came back after last year. He fell off a cliff after last year.
But that's not why they lost. Our better players.
Part of that 5v5 play, Kirby, is.
What?
Their depth killed us last year. That's why we went to a game 7.
No, but this year, the depth shouldn't be a conversation why they lost. You could talk the goaltending, but let's talk the superstars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right? Because this year, Draisaitl was healthy, and I liked his play through some part of the series, but then he disappeared. McDavid, I don't think McDavid, Cody, has been this bad We talked about it on one of our
Since the bubble.
Since the bubble against the Jets.
And who was the
thing?
coach?
Paul Maurice.
Paul Maurice is 3-0 against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So
are we talking? Which bubble are we talking about?
The
2020 or
As a
2021?
Canadian, I mush them all together. It was a best of 5 series, was it?
No, they swept them. 4-0.
Oh, it was a best of 7.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is like, I also thought they just got overplayed to a point. Like they're out there every other shift.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things.
Cody, last year was like dig in. This year it was like I'm putting my head through an effing wall, and these Panthers are so good. That's not a great answer from your captain and a generational player.
And I agree with you on some of the 5v5 play, Kirby. Like on the Lostarinen goal, I think it was McDavid who did just a flyby there and let Tkachuk all alone open the
Tkachuk goal.
On the Tkachuk goal. It's stuff like that, the little attention to details. And, I guess it could get you by in certain years, but we're talking about the Florida Panthers here. People are talking about this team as a dynasty. Like, they're uncharacteristically elite at these small little details. Like, this is what makes a championship pedigree team.
But if we're a dynasty from the beginning, people aren't going against us against Tampa or saying, oh, well, Toronto took you 7 games. We're playing Connor McDavid.
Well, I understand.
And we embarrassed them.
Oh, I don't disagree. Connor McDavid was not good enough point blank. I asked, is he hurt? I don't know. We kept him to the outside. The only time he really did anything in the series was when Reinhardt and him went down to the ice and McDavid got up a little quicker.
And by the way, Cody's got something on the screen here on the YouTube outside. I just want to add on that Tkachuk goal because I want to get in really quick here. That should forever be known as the Anton Lundell shift.
Because he back checked at the start and then he stopped the puck from being dumped in at the blue line and got it to Lusso, went the other way, screened Skinner.
Yep. And he had the scoring chance at the beginning of the shift.
Yeah. But this is a tweet from Johnny Lazarus, and it says, and I quote, "The Florida Panthers may have shut down Connor McDavid, but there needs to be more credit given to them than there are, because this should not be a knock-up. Let me rephrase, needs to be more credit given to them than there should be a knock on McDavid. Over the past 2 playoffs versus Florida, McDavid, 4 goals in 13 games. Kucherov, 0 goals in 10 games. Mouse and Matthews, 1 goal in 7 games. David Pastrnak, 1 goal in 6 games. Artemi Panarin, 1 goal in 6 games." And let me just add, the Artemi Panarin goal was a garbage time goal.
2-0 with like a minute left in game 6.
What about the McDavid goal? Wasn't it a 3-0 or 4-0?
One of them was an empty netter.
I'll say this. It kind of adds to what we were just talking about. Okay, Connor McDavid is facing against this elite team of the Florida Panthers, but the standard needs to be higher there. Nobody's saying McDavid's better than any of the players on those lists. At the end of the day, if you're going to make the amount of money you do, if you're going to play the style you do, if you're going to have the holes on your roster you do, Connor McDavid needs to come up in big-time moments. And, 7 points in 6 games is fine, but 1 goal is not.
Listen.
And I think some of the defensive mishaps, I mean, you go back to last year, game 1. This really set the tone for the series. Last year, Kirby, remember the Carter Verhaeghe, the first goal?
When he cheated down the wall.
He cheated down the wall and he
didn't
didn't check. He didn't fill the lane.
Yep.
Same thing here on the Tkachuk goal in game 6. It's the small little details. And people could say, oh, this, that, the other thing. Sometimes McDavid just stops there, gets in the lane right there. That play is broken up. You get out of the period 1-0.
So how can you blame the depth players on the Oilers if your leader's doing that on 2 key plays?
Well, I think it's a combination of issues. Connor McDavid needs to be better, absolutely. I also think he's been let down a bit by the Oilers management with some of the mistakes.
Well, you're going to sulk and you're going to quit?
No, I don't think he shouldn't. And
I don't think he quit.
But I don't think
I don't like the comments this year, Cody, from last year at the end of this.
Yeah, but I don't like that.
I'm banging my head through the effing wall. How about you take responsibility and not put it on your coach that you wanted to come to Edmonton?
I think he quit. I don't think he. No, let me rephrase. I don't think he quit.
No.
I think he ran out of gas.
Well, then
because what happened?
Say it then, or does he just say the Florida Panthers are a damn good team? That's all he kind of said.
I mean, that's what he did say. So
it's being honest, but you're not really.
I also thought the post-game thoughts were a little weird. Didn't anybody else? Like, it seemed
very weird this year. Last year, I can see where he's coming from.
Like, it seemed like this year, it's like even like how we answered the question, it seemed very casual. You know, it didn't seem like, you know,
You
if you had
talked
to
about his
guess-
press conference he just had here today of this recording, Nick, if he's coming back as an Edmonton Oiler.
You didn't give a clear answer on that one.
Well,
I don't-
why does this guy get off the hook? If this is Crosby or Ovechkin or Mario Lemieux or Gretzky.
Yeah, and again, I know people are going to also. There's been some conversation, like you just said about Knobloch with the comments by McDavid. I mean, what else do you want Knobloch to do? Coaches put you in a position to succeed. It's your job to execute.
Yeah.
He didn't execute on. Again, when it comes to these games, it's the smallest little details. Those
How
bounces
many
here, those
coaches
bounces
does
there.
the core of Edmonton need? Todd McClellan, Knobloch, Woodcroft, down the list.
I mean,
haven't Florida figured it out by now?
and I'll say this. I mean, I just thought how they came out in certain games, they weren't good enough 5-on-5. The power play, credit to our penalty kill. It was
credit to Tomasz Nosek.
Tomasz Nosek coming back. I mean,
You want to talk about a
Unbelievable.
guy,
I'll take an L on Thomas Nosek this year. I maybe have not been wrong on a player as much as I was on Nosek this year, going back to Ratko Gudas and Eric Stahl.
Adam Boquist.
Boquist.
Anyway,
Oh, on the other side. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't sign him. Zito signed him.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, well, I think any of us would have signed him because he's like, oh, right-handed D, cheap. Like,
We
that
need
was-
someone, Cody. And Cody's like, we got no money, Kirby. We got no money. Well, then here's a guy, Adam Boquist. Cody, let's sign him. Yeah, Cody, I was bargain bin shopping. You know, you guys both know, and Nick knows this.
Yeah,
I've been calling for Seth Jones for
we like here's the thing. People were looking at like
How about
other
Seth
teams.
Jones?
Other teams were shopping for Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew. We're over here looking at Dr. Thunder. Mountain
I don't even
Dew.
know these brands in Canada. Keep going.
We got Czech. We're looking at Czech colas. Like,
Not even that Jolt Cola. That's an old one you guys might not remember.
dude, we're looking at freaking Royal Crown Cola. at
Can't
some
even get a
point.
Slurpee.
Dog Kirby. We're no. You're gonna get we're gonna get snow cones. That's what we're gonna get.
Oh man.
I also did want to acknowledge, and I'm not trying to pull a Craig Simpson here, Kirby, but I do think missing Zach Hyman.
Oh, it did. 100%.
That's a shot at me because that was in the Edmonton Journal. You giving me a shot?
It 100%
No,
was
do
a big.
honestly
big
think
loss.
like
He's
I think
crying,
that's
Nick, with 10 minutes to go in a game. The Oilers could really use Zach Hyman here. Down.
Well,
40.
yeah, I don't agree with it, but he's a heart and soul guy. I think that could have gotten the energy. There were times, especially when the Oilers were on the road, we talked about the home road splits for the Panthers. That essentially was very different this round, but I thought the Oilers lacked some energy against the Panthers on the road at Amber Bank Arena. I mean, take a look at how they came out in Game 4. I know they came back, but that's a must-win game for you.
You know the word they used up here, Sportsnet TSN used on the Oilers? Lethargic.
That's another word.
It's
I
just-
thought, and here's the thing: outside, if you take a look from Game 3 on, there was one period I thought the Oilers showed anything. I mean, it was clinical domination in Game 3, one period of desperation in Game 4, and then Game 5 and 6 were essentially the same thing as Game 3. Wasn't even close. So I think you have to ask the question: were they tired? Were they hurt? They just didn't give a damn. I don't think they didn't give
Both
a damn.
teams were hurt. Both teams
mean-
were hurt. I just think one team had more depth and wanted it more.
And I think that's where it comes down to, Kirby. The deeper team won. And I think that's an area, better goaltending too. There's other roster construction issues with the Oilers. McDavid, yes, he needs to be better. But it's times like this where you're going to need other areas of your team to bail your superstars out sometimes.
Well,
I mean, we talked
Florida
about...
figured it out at the deadline, Nick, and his name is Bill Zito. And other teams, they can take these shots, but they refuse to do it. Today, Brian McDavid was on an interview, and he says, Bill Zito's got big balls. And other GMs, they can go out and try these things, but they choose not to.
Nobody wanted to touch Seth Jones. Nobody wanted to touch that contract. You take a look at the Dallas Stars. They didn't want anything to... Dallas didn't... Remember that report? Panthers got fleeced. Dallas didn't want him, right? You look at what Dallas did on the right side of their defense. They could have used Seth Jones. Now everybody's saying, "Oh, LTIR, Seth Jones." This everybody was saying we got fleeced. Spencer Knight in a first.
You know what's funny? If they wanted to use the LTIR argument, it'd be for Martian. It wouldn't be for Jones. Like Jones was was acquired, and Kachuk wasn't put on LTIR till like a couple days after that trade.
But you're telling me we acquired Brad Marchand at the trade deadline because we have no state income taxes? You think he gives a damn about money at that point? He's chasing a cup.
No,
well,
it's just
that's right, because the ones were there for Seth Jones that weren't there for Brad Marchand. So you got to talk about it both ways. Oh, the Panthers got gifted Brad Marchand.
We don't win the
Seth
cup.
Jones, like you said.
We don't win the cup without either of them.
No, I don't. I totally agree with you on that.
We don't.
We are gonna have a special episode on Brad Marchand, whether it's a podcast or a live stream. We're doing it, and I know overseas Ben Saunders is going to join us for it, because we're going to really break into what Brad Marchand has done here for these Florida Panthers. And I don't want to do it right now, guys, but what he's done to the legacy of this team, up to his career, and going forward as like a trade deadline acquisition. There's a lot to go into this. Whether Brad Marchand returns as a Florida Panther or not, when we find out what he does, I want to do a special episode on Brad Marchand.
And you want to know what the differences between Bill Zito and other GMs are? It's like this. Because the Panthers won the Stanley Cup with a dominant fourth line of Tomas Nosek, AJ Greer, and Jonah Gadjevich. Those three guys,
who had that on the card?
If you told any Panther fan that would have been the fourth line before the playoffs, a lot of us would have said probably first, second round exit.
And they said, what the hell is Mackey? Where's he? And where's Boquist?
But those guys played their asses off from when they were inserted into this lineup. Those guys put up goals.
Paul Murray's masterclass in the Toronto series.
Those guys had some of the best shifts versus Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
And
we've never seen Gadjevich maintain his level of play from the second round to the finals.
And we argue like what seems this year, last year is better. But one thing's for damn certain. I'm taking this fourth line over last year's fourth line.
As a whole, yes.
And the 5-on-5 is the whole reason for it.
Do you think a lot of that, Cody, is just size?
It could be. It could be size.
Some of those guys, Cousins and Lomberg, they got big hearts, I want to say. But I think
Greer, look, Lomberg may have heart, but I think Greer and Gadjevich had a little bit more dog.
But I think that's because of the size factor. When you're a big guy like that,
and you're
Gadjevich and you're thrown down with nerves.
When we lost to Vegas, that's an area like we really needed to hone in on.
We got dominated.
You wanted a big fourth line center that could move and do certain things. Mm-hmm. Kevin Stenlund was the idea that we all had in mind. When
he was the culture changer when it comes to force.
And then you had other guys like Steven Lorentz, Nick Cousins, Kyle Okposo. That's kind of what you wanted.
Bill Zito learned his lesson from 2023.
Absolutely. And then you take a look this year. Tomas Nosek, a good veteran fourth-line center, gets hurt in training camp, finds his game later on. Nico Sturm, we believe, got hurt in the Tampa series, I believe. And then Nosek has to come in. And then you see Greer and Gadjevich, two big guys that could cycle the puck, do some things. And they came in. They did not come out. I mean, if you would have told me Game 3, Toronto, that fourth line, whether we go all the way or not, that's not going to be the fourth line for the rest of the playoffs. Essentially was. And it gave us energy. It was cycling the puck. It wasn't a liability. They were out there against the Matthews and McDavid line for certain points, and they were breaking the puck out, shipping it in deep, and cycling the puck. I mean, I wasn't worried when they were on the ice. Like, there wasn't a point of worry like there was 2 years ago. I couldn't watch when Eric Stahl's line was out on the ice 2 years ago. And now you take a look at this Nosek, Gadjevich, Greer line. I mean, when we lost to Vegas, I'm like, we need a fourth line that can get it. That could be a difference maker. Well, it was the turning point this playoff. This is exactly what you had in mind after you.
How about just 2 comments, Nick, that we get on our post-game Spaces show? By the way, appreciate everyone joining me after the Stanley Cup Final. Missing our guy Big C's there out there partying hard, but it was nice to have you guys drop by. We have over 800 listen backs already on that, I believe, so that'll hit the 1K number. 2 things that we heard during the season, gentlemen, on the fourth line. Why are you guys talking about the fourth line so much? Well, do you understand how much it matters now? And number 2, if that's our biggest concern, we're set up for big-time success here come the spring.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring them up because I want to show you the difference between Bill Zito and every other GM in the NHL. Hey, let's look at Edmonton's GM. Why not? Because they just signed a new extension a day after the Cup, after they lost.
Pretty hefty one, too.
Frederick, 8 years at $4 million per. and he's going to be a bottom sixer for him. But here's the difference. Here's what Bill Zito did: $850K for Adrian Greer, $775 for Gadjevich, and $775 for Nosek. We did not have a free agent signing above $1 million this offseason.
And they each played a key role. Like, you take a look at last year's offseason. Like, I know the offseason we signed Mikkola, Ekman-Larsson, Rodriguez.
Well, we had more cash then.
That we had more cash then. But you take a look at some of the players that made differences here. That whole two of those fourth liners came in and played very big roles for us. Nate Schmidt came in, ran an elite second power play unit, played 16, 17 minutes a night, really solid, steady hockey, which I believe when the year turned to 2025, Nate Schmidt was been excellent since then. You take a look, Jesper Boqvist comes in. Jesper Boqvist.
Kirby was not drinking the Edmonton Kool-Aid right there.
No, he was not.
I'm not drinking the Florida Kool-Aid either. Be disciplined with the money this summer, Zito. Be disciplined.
There we go. You take a look at our fourth line. You take a look at Nate Schmidt. Jesper Boqvist, $775 league minimum, whatever, comes in, plays a top 9 role, scores 12 goals, does whatever, comes into the playoffs, well, gets inserted on the top line, first game in, gets 2 points, gets a goal and an assist, whatever, comes out of the lineup after a game or two, comes back in the lineup, gets 3 more points. All you need is a game or two from those guys. You have a guy, league minimum, coming off the bench, gets 2 points in one game, comes off the bench again, gets 3 points in another game. That's all you really need is production for a game or two from them. And you take a look at the fourth line and the bottom pair and all these other depth players. Fourth line, less than $2 million. You have Kulikov, a guy that can play both sides at 1.1. Schmidt, puck-moving guy, similar to Ekman-Larsson, we thought at the time, comes in, plays key minutes, power play 2 unit at $800,000. And then you just mentioned the fourth line. I mean, that's key. And, you know, we could argue who's better, this guy's better. We have guys legitimately. Ekman-Larsson last year got a $3.5 million deal for 4 years in Toronto. That was our bottom pair guy. Nate Schmidt's going to get a 3x3 in the offseason. We're getting $3-4 million defenseman to come in and be our bottom pair guy for a year. We have Kevin Stenlund and Ryan Lomberg last year. They get multiple year deals at $2 million per. Steven Lorenz, Kirby, we talked about him a lot this year, had a really good year in Toronto. Nick Cousins had a nice year in Ottawa, injuries there. But you take a look, we're able to recycle, replenish, and get guys that on other teams are higher quality, $1.5 million, $2-3 million players. They're making league minimum in depth roles for us. Jesper Boqvist, he'd be in the lineup for almost any other playoff team.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it's just crazy to think Nico Sturm, Mackie Simiskevich, 15 goals this year. Doesn't even play after
31 points his rookie year.
Doesn't even really factor into line. And I don't want to get too far off the beaten trail here because I want to talk about this with our shows upcoming on the live streams and everything. But Bill Zito now, Cody, I've been thinking about this over the last 24, 48 hours. He has all the leverage in the world moving forward now on these trade deadlines of like, I don't need to go into the regular season loving my lineup because I know when that trade deadline hits, not only can I acquire guys because I got the big balls to do it, but number 2, we got guys that want to come play for us and to improve and augment our roster, which we talk about all the time, guys. You need to do that at the deadline. Screw the chemistry and let's keep everyone together. I don't want to mess with anything that's not broke. No, Zito is like, we're going to tinker and we're going to make adjustments because we saw this year with Brad Marchand and Seth Jones. When they come into the lineup, it's not just an infusion of talent. It's an infusion of energy, leadership, push, drive, all that stuff. And now Zito, Cody, has the leverage when guys are like, I don't want to play for this team anymore. I don't want to play for that team. Hey, this team like Brad Marchand, they don't want to pay me what I'm worth when I've been with this franchise for 10, 15 years. Maybe I'll go look at Florida.
It's just, Bill Zito is now in the echelon of, I think he's one of the best. I think he's the best
GM in sports. I know you said Howie Roseman the other night.
It's either him or Howie. It's one of those two.
Best in the NHL, best in sports. And you take a look, Kirby. The one thing I like about Zito, and sometimes it's hard, especially in the moment, is
it's hard for us when we do every post game because we get the questions and we're like, hey, Zito, address the right-handed D.
Okay, that's exactly what I was going to say. Having the patience to say, okay, we know we have a need at a certain spot.
Yes.
However, we're not going to go pay somebody desperate money because we have a need and we need to address it. We're going to have the patience. We're going to bite the bullet for a couple months, still have a pretty good start. And then when a better guy becomes available, you go get it. Last year,
but that's not what we asked on the postgame show. We said address the position. And people are like, why do we need to address it? Because I'm like, it's a need. And it needs to.
We're not winning the cup without other one, but you take a look. 2 years ago when we acquired, or last year, I guess, Vladimir Tarasenko, Nick Cousins is in our top 9. We had some depth scoring issues the first half of that season. Vladimir Tarasenko comes in. We bit the bullet for a little bit. We got a guy who is better than some of the other guys we could have gotten on a cheaper deal early on. We waited to the deadline. This year, instead of going and spending money on Sean Walker or re-signing Ekman Larson because we needed another defenseman, which we did, we had the patience, we waited, and we acquired Seth Jones, who was better than any other guy we would have re-signed at last year.
And we talked to people, Cody. They were scouting Seth Jones for a while.
Yeah, and the thing is now going into this offseason, discipline with money is going to be the biggest thing because of the salary cap rising.
Can we use that as a Cats and Rats slogan there? I think I said it earlier. Discipline.
Spend with discipline.
Yeah. Spend
we already have a good enough team
with the money.
Speaking of spending any money, we got a word from our sponsor, CanesWear. And before we play the ad for you guys, be sure to check out CanesWear as they're having their meet and greets this year. It is with Jonah Gadjevich and AJ Greer.
Oh, you got the new one, Cody, with AJ Greer. Okay.
Yes, you have the Jonah Gadjevich Monday, June 23rd. Order tickets at PanthersWear.com, PanthersWear.com.
And Greer is going to be there as well.
AJ Greer is the same thing. You can purchase the autograph ticket, or you can post a photo op ticket, or you can buy the VIP package, which includes the photo op ticket, the autograph ticket, and a $50 CanesWear gift card. So I think it's a pretty good deal. I may get it myself.
There we go. CanesWear bringing in all those guys. Last year, what did they have? Tarasenko there. I think Lomberg on his way out.
Yeah.
A little farewell tour there.
I think Montour was there 1 year, but I can't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, a word from CanesWear.
Panthers fever is here. Are you geared up? CanesWear in Davie is the place for all your Florida Panthers needs. They have the latest gear for our favorite NHL team. Jerseys, polos, t-shirts, hoodies, hats, and more. CanesWear has you covered. Stop by their store in Davie or at PanthersWear.com. Again, that's PanthersWear, WEAR.com for all your Panthers gear.
Cody was a little quick there, but I love it, Cody. But also, I think they also had Mikula at CanesWear.
They could have.
Yeah.
But another word from our other sponsor, Jeremy Beckham with Next Home Treasure Coast. Hey, Panther fans in South Florida need real estate though? Check out Jeremy Beckham with Next Home Treasure Coast. It's a boutique service with a personal touch. Jeremy and the team put humans over houses, working hard for you, whether you're buying or selling. Ready to move? Hit up backsalesfla.com or call 772-475-5371 now. You'll be glad you did.
And Jeremy is pumped up for July 1st, gentlemen. And we're going to have our special show July 1st here on our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us, subscribe below there as well to the Big C's channel, so you're notified when we are live. Oh. Big C should be joining us for that. He's had a pretty busy week here at the Elbow Room and some other stuff. Meet all the players. And
Reinhardt and Kachuk pouring, I think, beer all over him now.
Oh yeah, by the way, I gotta get on Caesar a little bit here. He was on a Miami Dolphins podcast. He's not here with us in the Cats and Rats, on the live, but he's on there. But we're just busting Caesar up there. He's making all.
We love Big Caesar around here.
Where are you, Caesar? Right. So, anyways, he said, "Guys, I've been mentioning you. So we appreciate it.
Don't forget us, Caesar.
Where's Caesar?
I think Caesar may be at 11 as of we're recording tonight. So we'll see.
Or are they at 11 again like they were last year?
I think so. I hope.
This is a tradition, Cody. 2 years in a row?
Yeah. Could they get Caesar to climb up the pole like Lomberg did last year?
Nick, you got to go there and get some content.
Is that what I would be going for?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's the content, yes.
Or the content. Well, Nick, you're going to be at the parade on Sunday.
I am.
I might be there too. So
Cody might be there too.
Here we go.
But I will for sure be at the War Memorial on Monday. So
Is everyone to meet and greet Cody there?
I'm not that famous. But
Never thrown it out there. Hey, we're in the Edmonton Journal now, Cody. Come on.
Yeah.
We're on Spin.
I'm sure we will be tomorrow also.
We're at Morning Cup of
David Staples, you watching?
What's that?
What's up, David?
David Staples, you watching, buddy?
David Staples,
What's up, David?
Guys, before we get into our top 5 review picks, I want to talk about Alexander Barkov. Can we show that image, Cody?
If I can
Graphic for anybody that's...
Yes, viewer discretion is advised.
But I want to add the Kirby narrative to this. So, if you guys didn't know, Alexander Barkov, and this shout out to Caesar here again. Caesar getting a lot of shout outs here. He said, Kirby, I noticed something with Barkov's hand when they're coming back from the airport. It was heavily bandaged. I'm like, oh, I thought maybe Barkov was dealing with a lower body injury, but I didn't know he was dealing with anything hand related.
Once again, viewer discretion is advised.
Yep.
But there it is right there.
Now, if you guys are looking on the YouTube channel side, we'll walk you through it on the audio side. Heavily bruised. He had it stitched up twice, and then I think they glued it the third time, Cody.
Yeah, because it kept busting open.
It kept busting open. And the thing is, like, people were being critical of Alexander Barkov on lost board battles, lost puck battles. This reportedly happened in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Final versus the Edmonton Oilers. And again, if you see this image online, you're not looking at it right now. When your hand is severely damaged like that, I've broken my wrist, I've hurt my hand in baseball, that it starts to get infected, which you can see there, and you start to lose sensation and feeling up the fingers and the fingertips. So if Barkov can't win battles, Nick, doesn't it make sense?
Well, the sweat inside that glove too. I couldn't imagine. Oh, that's like.
But if you're in there and different things like that, your hand is just pulsing.
I mean, again, I was critical of like certain aspects of his game. I didn't expect him to do anything. Like I thought he was getting beat to pucks and board battles. This explains it. But I do think as the series went on, he really played well. And at the end of the day, held Connor McDavid to what? 1 goal? I don't even know if he was on the ice for that.
Yeah, that one.
Still got a couple points. And at the end of the day, won his 2nd straight Stanley Cup. Nobody in the league in this era, with the very exception of very few, especially centers, has won as much as Alexander Barkov. You take a look. Braden Point would be the only one. I think Barkov's better than him. And, you take a look at some other guys. Nikita Kucherov, they've won too. But he's won more than McKinnon. He's won more.
Center, Nikita Kucherov is.
I said winger. He's won more than McKinnon. He's won more than Austin Matthews. He's won more than McDavid. He's won more than Draisaitl. Nobody has won more than Alexander Barkov, and if they have, they've been around a lot longer than him.
So if you disagree with us in the chat, I want to tell you I want to know why you think that Alexander Barkov is not a special player, hasn't outplayed McDavid, hasn't outplayed these other centers, because I don't get any of the criticism after you see that image there and what Barkov went through, because other guys get allowances, but I don't see Alexander Barkov getting those same allowances, Cody. And it bothers me and it frustrates me.
The only thing that got on Barkov that was Game 4. I didn't think he was that great.
But we called it out here on the recap show.
We did. But after that, he was a dog. And I can't stand when people were like, oh, he doesn't score goals. Like, dude, we have a 57 goal scorer on this team. We have 2 40 goal scorers on this team. Another guy that was leading the NHL in playoffs in goal.
How many 20 goal scorers do we have on this team?
Like, the entirety of our top 6 has scored 20 goals or more. He doesn't need to score.
And Cody, the key thing is rings. And I say this all the time, Nick. We say this on our post-game show. So you want to win?
I mean, again, you could look at points, sure, whatever. But why don't they have the cups Alexander Barkov does?
Do some of you fans want Mitch Marner instead of Alexander Barkov because of regular season points? That's what I feel sometimes, Nick, when I get some DMs and calls.
They're great players all around the league, but Alexander Barkov has won more than anybody in the NHL. I mean,
superstars combined.
Listen,
superstars combined. He's won more than McDavid, Draisaitl, McKinnon. They have all the points in the world. McDavid, Draisaitl, McKinnon, and Matthews, they have 1 cup. Barkov, he has 2.
And Bob is not carrying Barkov. Gustav Forsling is not carrying Alexander Barkov. Matthew Tkachuk, the heart and soul that a lot of you say, is not carrying Alexander Barkov. He's carrying this team through a lot. If you don't believe me, go ask the players at the parade.
Listen.
I'm getting frustrated on it, Cody. I am.
Listen, The thing is that
But what
Alexander
if we have
Barkov,
right now?
I gotta get the hierarchy of this damn team correct. Because I had a NHL insider try and say Sam Bennett was the head of the snake. And
What does that even mean, head of the snake? By the way, congratulations, Sam Bennett, on the
Conn Smythe winner. It was either him or Marchand. I was not mad at either one.
I was
My
wondering,
vote
but I was
would have been Marchand because of the impact he had. But if you gave it to Bennett, I'm not upset at all.
Yeah.
Alexander Barkov is the foundation of the Florida Panthers. Matthew Tkachuk may be the heart and soul, but do not get it twisted. The fact that we have to reiterate this is insane. Alexander Barkov is the foundation of this team.
Go talk to Vinny Viola and ask him how important Barkov is to the bottom dollar and all the dollars that go in his pocket, and this being a winning team.
Because
you're not selling tickets with exciting hockey players if you're a fringe playoff team or you're making the playoffs one out every couple of years. Barkov puts in the work every year, and everyone has to realize this. 4 Nations, Olympics, he's working hard with that. Off-season training, he's meticulous. Everyone follows suit with him. And when Barkov doesn't have, he has an underwhelming series or a couple underwhelming games, the vitriol that comes on him, I don't see that, Cody, with the McKinnons, the Matthews, the McDavids, speaking of one right now. And it's not fair when this guy is now a multiple-time Stanley Cup winner. He's the only captain in European history to captain a team to, 1 and now 2 Stanley Cups?
I think it's back-to-back cups.
Back-to-back.
First European captain.
Finnish-born was the one, right?
Yeah, he was the first Finnish-born captain to win a Stanley Cup, and now he's the first European captain to captain a team to back-to-back Stanley Cups.
And I'm throwing this out there. Hey, I'm North American, just like all you are. Is it because he's not North American that he gets this criticism?
No. I think a lot of the criticism, because here's the thing. There are 2 guys on this team that I think get the most criticism out of any. Actually, no, 3 guys that I think get the most criticism out of everybody, and I think it's the same reason. It's Alexander Barkov, it is Aaron Ekblad, and it's Sergei Bobrovsky.
Correct.
I think those 3 get the most because they are here the longest, and they were part of the issues we had losing earlier on. Because remember, Bob was his opening contract; he was horrible. Barkov and Ekblad had been a part of the Islander series loss, the 4 years of mediocrity right after that. And then the 2 losses to Tampa, they were a part of that. They're the consistence of that. And I feel like those guys are the easiest to blame to me.
Now I'm going to give you a South Florida sports example, and I know you're not a fan of them, Cody, and I know you aren't either, Nick, but I need your guys' answer on this. Are fans as critical of Dwayne Wade as they've been of Alexander Barkov because he's been there the longest and he's the longest reigning player? Do they get on him like they do with Barkov? Because I, as a basketball fan,
because he won a ring early on. Remember, he won the ring in 2006.
So it's always about results, and it's always about championships.
Yes.
Well, this guy has 2 now, and fans are
it's very difficult to win. And when you take a look, I mean,
you can't create super teams for everyone.
Austin Matthews. I remember Colorado fans complaining Nathan McKinnon hasn't been good enough in this run. He didn't win the Conn Smythe that year, I don't think, right? The year they won the Cup.
That was McCarr.
You've seen McKinnon complaints as much as you have Barkov. That's hard.
I don't know as much. I'm not on Avalanche Twitter, but I've seen McKinnon, particularly in that 2022 run, I think complaining about the lack of scoring after round 2. So I think that
But that's when it was hitting the fan. It was hitting the fan there with McKinnon because they were bumping up, and they couldn't get over that hump.
Yeah, and
that's the same thing that would have happened with Barkov. We kept losing.
Shouldn't that tell you how hard it is to win?
Yeah.
It's not.
Why is Barkov getting that now when he's won and he doesn't get the flowers? McKinnon and all those guys do when they win.
Yeah, it always is like that. You can't win until you do.
Because he's the less vocal one, and because
And guys, it's disrespect, and even Sportsnet called themselves out. It's disrespect when they don't talk about Sam Reinhart till 50 minutes into their podcast or their episode or whatever you want to call it. That's disrespect too. It's like you're talking about Hyman and Nugent Hopkins and McDavid and Draisaitl and Tkachuk and Bobrovsky. Are you going to get to the guy that potted 4 goals here? It's like 50 minutes into shows. Come on now. And I'm going to stand up for Barkov and Reinhart. I'm going to be relentless on that, Cody. I'm not talking.
You want to know why they don't talk about Reinhart no more?
What's that?
Because you want to know why they don't talk about Reinhart no more? And if Bennett does re-sign, why they're not going to talk about him? They're not going to be UFAs. There's not a chance that they go to a Canadian team. There's no reason for that. They're not going to talk about guys who are under contract.
Everybody was talking about.
They didn't shut up about him.
Well, remember they were just comparing him, William Nylander. What are him and Reinhart going to get?
You know what Sportsnet said when Bennett was getting awarded the trophy right after? They're like, "Oh, this is a little bit more money now on the back end of this contract."
Why do you think they did it? Why do you think they did it?
They smile, and I would tell them to their face, like, "I know what you're doing. I'm not stupid, you know. You're just trying to up the value because you're scared of the Florida Panthers. You're scared they're going to be a force in this Atlantic Division for many years to come." But the Maple Leafs aren't writing their paychecks. But that's frustrating.
And it's not going to Toronto. And if he does, you know what?
But then you got Biz on TNT, and I'm going to call him out here too. He's doing the same thing on the American broadcast.
Yeah, the no income tax and
Gary Bettman. Sportsnet.
Right?
Bennett may go to Canadian team. He's going to go to Vancouver. So there you go.
Oh, happy with that? Would make zero sense.
There you go.
I would actually laugh at
replacement.
But no, it's just.
And I'm not drinking Kool-Aid. This is Powerade.
Like once they're not UFAs, they're not going to shut up. They're going to not talk about it.
Oh, it's a good point, Cody. I don't think that ties into everything on it, but it's a good point of why they're talking about Bennett more than they are Reinhart. Also, the playoffs that Bennett had, of course, like talking point.
And before we continue, I'm just going to put up this stat because I want to defend this guy right here. Okay.
Oh, you do. You didn't tell me this.
I think I know who this is going to be.
I put it in late, but.
Okay. For everyone on the YouTube.
And for those who have heard me the last year, I do not believe Alexander Barkov is the most underrated Panther on this team. There is one guy who is way more underrated by the fan base and by the outside media.
I think I know where he's going.
I know where he's going.
His name's Anton Lundell, if you guys don't know who he is.
Really?
This is from Jay Fresh. A lot of you guys know who he is.
Anton Lundell supporters all years, the Cats and Rats community. I guess
he put up this tweet right here. The Panthers scored on an insane 16.8% of their 5-on-5 shots with Lundell on the ice. The highest percentage for any player in the playoffs since at least 2007, 2008. And if you need the more generalized version, Big Hockey says that is 3 or 4 goals more than the usual percentage for a cup winner. The real craziness is that around round one against Sam, he had 21.8%. The rest of them was around 50%. So maybe they win some of those games 3-1 instead of 6-1 throughout the run. Like
Cody, we had post-game calls from fans around the league. They can't believe how young Anton Lundell is and how much playoff points he has, how much playoff production he has, games played. Nick, he's entering all-time history. They're starting to include Anton Lundell with young players under the age of 25 that played with the Montreal Canadiens in the 1970s. I wasn't even watching puck then.
I mean,
I hope you were
Anton Lundell. I'm not trying to get into a contract. He's elite. I mean, at what he does. I mean,
he's the best third-line center.
Third-line center in the NHL. I think he's going to be an elite number 2 center. I don't know if I'll get up to like a low-end one, but who knows? I mean, I would.
Remember what fans were saying? Like the third line's not scoring a lot in the regular season, guys. I'm like, they're working through it. They're getting to their game. And
give
Paul
him some
Maurice,
wingers and
that's
see
what the vision that you guys had with Paul Maurice.
Anton Lundell
that we saw.
Anton Lundell had 45 points this season. I mean, he's made steps and progress. Before you know, he's going to be a 50-point guy. 50-point center.
Yeah, give us some damn wingers. He'll hit 50 easy.
When Matthew Tkachuk scored that goal in Game 6, where were the 2 forwards he was on the ice with?
Lundell and Luosterainen.
Exactly, everyone. Exactly. That can be. I don't love Lusto as a second-line player. That can be a second line now. And if you want Lusto on the third line and play him at 3C or do whatever you want, fine. Lundell can play with Tkachuk. I keep showing everyone examples, and they're not seeing it. Go and watch that shift, and go see how Lundell and Tkachuk work together. Cody, they have immaculate spacing when they are on the ice together.
Oh, easy.
And Lundell is a part for a lot of that. Credit.
And I guess, but now, off that, I guess we got to review the top 5s here.
We're fired up today, but we got to be.
I mean, we back-to-back cups. We better be. And free agency, and I think I'm more excited to see what other teams do than us. I really am.
I am intrigued.
I'm intrigued.
With Zito, what was it, 2023 off season? Oh,
What, the one where it's like the boring
Let's
ones or
go
the
get all the Ottawa Senators rejects from the
Colin White, Nick Cousin,
I'm like, I know Jameson pumped
Holy
up
Rudolph's
Colin White, but
Balsers.
I wasn't buying that, Jameson.
No, but he didn't have any money that offseason, so I can't really blame him for that.
But when you go on Twitter, it's like, look at this guy. I'm like, don't get me.
It's his job to talk up those guys, and he probably had.
Okay, but I also went to talk to Ottawa fans, and they said, hold the brakes on Colin White.
We had
It
people in there.
was so bad, dude. Oh
They
my
wanted him
gosh.
to play with Kachuk and Bennett, I think.
No, what's crazy was he had such a good start. He
like
really
12
had,
points in 13 games.
and he had like a goal against Buffalo that was a one-timer bar down. I'm like, ooh, maybe we
Like
got
this guy can be something. I really thought the plan there was Balsers, White, come in, play with elite.
One of them was going to play with Kachuk and Bennett.
Yeah, so like hopefully
Balsers originally had that.
I think what they were thinking is, okay, try to complement those two, get 30, 35 points, and don't just be terrible out there.
And
Here's an opportunity for you.
But
Provide
you got as a fan, you got to use your critical thinking. Just because someone's saying something about a player, what did they say about Mikkola? Nothing. Remember?
And people thought Balsers was going to be a 30-goal scorer. Oh.
Critical thinking, ladies and gentlemen.
Like,
Remember?
no,
Oh, well, how is he going to replace Gudas? Well,
but anyway,
2 cups.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by our offseason, but I'm excited to see what every other team does because this is going to be the stupid contract year.
Oh, by the way, everyone on YouTube, sorry, I'm just going to jump in quickly here. We got to do our recap too, Cody. Everyone that can see on the YouTube side there. I got to get an update on that Kirby Reaper image there.
Yeah.
That means two.
Anyway, but we're going to review Kirby's top 5 first here. His top 5 goes as follows. Number 1, Leon Draisaitl. Number 2, Connor McDavid. Number 3, Alexander Barkov. Number 4, Anton Lundell. Number 5, Seth Jones. Honorable mentions to Brad Marchand and Matthew Tkachuk. And his X factors were Evander Kane and Nico Mikkola.
What was that laugh for there?
The Evander Kane one.
I bought into some of the media think tank on that. My fault.
I don't know.
Draisaitl, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think any of your top 3 are even.
Draisaitl was trending to be number 1.
And
he was trending, and then
you guys laughed at me when I said 5 to 6 goals. How many goals did he have in the final?
3, 4?
4. He had 4. And if he would have done anything in the last couple of games, he would have had 6 or 7, Nick. And Nick, you're like, I don't like what you're saying here, Kirby and Draisaitl. That's not good news for Florida. I'm like, it's not.
He said like 2 points for me.
Yeah, 2 overtime winners, right?
Yeah.
It was close.
I'm going to be honest. I was worried coming in, and I'm like, I don't like a healthy Leon Draisaitl. But
it was trending. You guys give me the X, but
I'm going to be honest with you. I'll give you Lundell. I'll give you
Tkachuk as honorable mention.
That's fair.
I'm at 2.
Yeah.
Nothing on Marchand, you said?
I think he's in the top 5.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think he's 1, to be honest with you. I think he's
put
1.
him in the top 5.
I think he's 1.
The fact that we didn't have Bennett.
I'm not getting anything for Barkov.
I don't think Barkov was 3rd.
Well, he's pretty close. He's a Stanley Cup champion, the captain.
Yeah, but I think that's. But I think that's a pretty. But I think 3rd's a good slot for Draisaitl.
Yeah, I would say so. But anyway, Kirby gets 2, and then he predicted
Cats
in 7.
So 2.5. 2.5.
Guys, we'll go with 2.5. We're gonna go to mine here, and everybody, shout out first of all to the holy water.
Okay, so
it was always Cats in 6.
You guys, I got to jump in here. There was a funny thing with Nick on one of our recap shows. He left for 1 minute, and he's like, I'm back, everyone. His arms are extended wide. And then Cody's like, no one cares.
And you know what? People did, because the comment section.
They did, but I can't stop laughing at that clip because Cody's timing was excellent.
And you know what, Cody? You don't have to care because you picked Edmonton in 7. We know what you really wanted.
It was so funny. It was one of the funniest things all season.
We know what you really wanted, Cody. You wanted Edmonton in 7.
How he said it was like right out of a movie and TV.
I think
no one cares.
I think I'm the only one out of all 3 of us to get any series correct.
What do you mean?
I have no idea. I would have to go back.
I picked Tampa. I picked Florida in 6 first round. I picked Florida in 5 second round. I picked Florida in 6 third round, and I picked Florida in 6 this round.
Oh, you're talking the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's the only one that got it like correct in the games.
Because the last time that I picked against the Panthers was against the Bruins in 2023. I was a little high.
The last time I picked against the Panthers, never posed. I picked against them against the Rangers last year.
You did. I was close to doing that
because the way the Rangers were coming in, and I picked Vegas over them in the Cup Final.
Oh, you did. Oh, so
I did pick Vegas. So
I didn't remember that one.
Okay, so Nick's top 5 here. It goes 1, Alexander Barkov. 2, Connor McDavid. Number 3, Leon Draisaitl. Number 4, Matthew Tkachuk. Number 5, Evan Bouchard. Honorable mentions to Sergei Bobrovsky and Sam Reinhart. X Factors, Connor Brown and Eetu Luostarinen.
Okay, let's just start from the top. Barkov and McDavid, no.
Draisaitl, you just said at 3.
Draisaitl 1. I give Tkachuk, no.
That's the highest you can have. Draisaitl is 3.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, because the way he finished the series.
Okay.
Because I think 1 and 2 are better than Marchand.
But I think even Draisaitl started to drop.
I think Reinhart and Bob being honorable mentions, those are 2 points.
Okay, what are we doing with Tkachuk at 4 and Bouchard at 5?
No, not on Bouchard.
Oh,
it's close on Bouchard though.
I'm giving him a point there.
What for Bouchard?
And I don't like Bouchard's game and some of the stuff he does.
So what he's
5
he's
is
at,
a pretty good spot.
So he's at 4 points.
Because you're giving him a point for Tkachuk?
I'm giving a point for Draisaitl, Bouchard, and both his honorable mentions.
And how about Panthers in 6? That's 5.
Yeah. The X Factor is he swung and missed.
Didn't we all almost?
No, I think I get 1 point for my X Factor.
So what do we got Nick at for how much?
5.
And again, you're giving him a point on Tkachuk at 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, no, not Tkachuk at 4.
Bob and Reinhart as honorable mentions. He's that out there.
He already gave me the points for that.
I mean, if I'll give it for
Reinhart got really late.
If you what
really
Bob was there all series, so
yeah, but he was 4-5.
The Bob pick is better than the Reinhart pick, but both that's fine.
But Reinhart really got going in the back half.
If he didn't do what he did in Game 6 or 7, he's not anywhere near the honorable mention.
Like because
people are getting on Barkov, but Reinhart wasn't good.
Well,
yeah, because he scored in he scored in 4. Like he scored in games 3, 4, 5, and 6. So because he scored game 3.
Because you score doesn't make you impactful and make our list.
Yeah, but he sent the game 4 to overtime.
Yeah, that moment there. Okay, that.
And then game 5 he put.
But like his defensive play, the offense wasn't.
And
there.
then game 5 he put that out of.
Isn't that weird with Reinhart though? Like he needed his offense to get his overall game going.
Yeah, but I think it was because of the leg injury. For those who don't know, Reinhart was dealing with a grade 2 MCL sprain from the Carolina hit.
Trying to tell people he was dealing with something.
It was quite obvious.
Relax.
But he scored in 4 straight, and then he had the greatest Panther playoff performance ever. So he's at 5, and then for me,
you don't get anything on McDavid and Barkov.
Hold on, let me read.
Can I read off my thing?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Number 1 at Connor McDavid, number 2 at Alexander Barkov, number 3 Leon Draisaitl, number 4 Aaron Ekblad, number 5 Carter Verhaeghe. Honorable mentions to Evan Bouchard and Matthew Tkachuk, and my X Factors were Dmitry Kulikov and Matthias Janmark.
So Nick, start at the top.
No to McDavid, no to Barkov, yes to Draisaitl, hell no to Aaron Ekblad.
Hell no.
Verhaeghe,
5,
no. I'll give you Bouchard and Tkachuk because Bouchard
spots there.
Those are good for them. So I'll give you your 3. I'm not giving you a point from Janmark, and I'm really going to give you a bullshit point for Kulikov.
It should be. He had a big goal in the series.
Half a point.
I'll go because it was bold. I'll give you a point there at 4.
Does he lose a point for? Hold on. Does he lose a point for picking Edmonton?
Yeah. So now you're at 3.
Nah, I'm good.
So Nick wins it. So Nick,
I win again.
Oh man.
Yeah.
You know, Cody, we can't worry about paying our UFAs this summer. We got to pay Nick now because he showed up in the conference final top 5 and the Stanley Cup. Where were you the first half of the playoffs though, Nick?
I wait
got there if it
out to lunch.
I wait for the big moments. For the big
you just want to jump in, right? Whenever.
No, but here's the thing. Right? You know what's funny?
Heavy lifting, and then you jump in.
Kirby early in the series could have got a point for Kane. He could have. Because Kane had a good start. Remember, he scored that goal in game 2 to tie it up early?
You know who I was considering instead of Kane, Cody?
Who?
Our boy Caesar's pick. Corey Perry.
Oh.
And then I was also considering Connor Brown. But Corey Perry.
I was considering Podkolzin.
Really?
Yeah.
I was close to Kapanen.
Podkolzin, I would have gave you a point on, I don't know an X factor, but an honorable mention.
I think I would have given him a point for X factor for Podkolzin, yeah. I would have given him one.
I just don't know if there was a true X factor in this series, like the guy that.
Not for
you know what's funny? Like, you know what's funny? You know who I think was like one of Edmonton's better players in game 6? I thought Jeff Skinner had a hell of a game.
Oh, some people were calling him an X factor on our post-game show, Nick. I don't know. Is he that good?
I mean, he
No,
looked
but
good, but he was
game
skating
6,
well. He was
he
skating
had
well. He's a beautiful,
Fans were upset at Knobloch.
he's a beautiful skater. I'll give him
He won
that.
some board battles. But anyway, it's just the McDavid really like sauntering around really kind of like, and then so Draisaitl tanking the back half of the series really cost Kirby.
Yeah.
What cost me was
number one player.
what cost me was that
Round 1.
I won
No,
round 2. No,
Cody-
I won round 1. Kirby won round 2. Nick won 3 and 4.
I won the Toronto round. That should count for something a little extra.
No.
It takes up so much oxygen in the Cats and Rats community.
Yeah. The thing is just looking at these top 5s, like I think I went me and Kirby both went bold with our number 4 picks. Because I went Ekblad, Kirby went Lundell. Like, how the hell did we not think of Sam Bennett?
The only guys that would have got points for the Panthers in 2023 against Vegas would be Barkov and Lundell, and that's where the list stops. We all would have had Bob 1 or 2 or 3. I did do my picks on another podcast show.
If we did the top 5 for Vegas going in, I think I would have had 1 Panther and 4 Knights. Because I don't think.
Well, I did say, hey, I should get a ding for this, gentleman. I said this wouldn't be a goalie series. It was only a goalie series for bad reasons with Stuart Skinner. And but again, I Pickard. How much do you blame them too?
I was very
but
good on the goalies. You guys had Frederick Anderson in the Carolina series.
That's a big L for me there.
I think I had him as an honorable mention. I think I just mentioned
Joseph
him because
Wall, I don't care what anyone says. Joseph Wall was solid. Vasi was, he needs help. He was all right.
well, Vasi needs to not play 65 games a year.
We didn't exactly. We got to talk about that more. How much games Vasi plays year in year out. We didn't go through the goalie gauntlet this year, and thankfully, because I had to play. I say the Panthers had to play the Edmonton Oilers for 2 years in a row, and I got my first message from my Edmonton family today. They actually were nice words. Congratulations, solid goaltending, well deserved. I think.
Okay, I have this tweet from Chris Johnston, and it's really funny we get this tweet during when we're recording. Brad Marchand is currently using his Instagram to thank rival NHL teams for the players they allowed to join the Florida Panthers, and the championship celebration rolls on. He took a picture of Kachuk and he says thanks at NHL Flames. For Hagee, they said thank at Tampa Bay Lightning, at Kansas City Mavericks, and Syracuse Crunch. For Ben, he says thank you at NHL Flames. Like, I got to look at the Instagram to see if there's more. It's actually kind of hilarious.
This is what Brad Marchand does on the ice when he scouts his opponents and then says stuff to them that's going to hurt their feelings. It's kind of
because the fact that this series was like...
Oh, they said this was the most foul-mouthed series maybe in NHL history.
We need uncensored, mic'd up.
Okay.
What they said to Evander Kane?
Yeah. So he has a picture of No Second Jesper. It says thanks at NHL Devils.
Look at the Reinhardt one.
Kulikov at Wild. Look at Reinhardt.
Look at Reinhardt.
And thanks at State. Reinhardt's just like this. He has, is that Greer? Yeah, it's Greer. Thanks at Flames. For Gadjevich, thanks at Sharks. He put Jacob Begna, thanks at Blackhawks. Thanks the Rangers for Mikula. Thank you for the
clean, gentlemen. We got to keep this clean, but go check out what AJ Greer had to say about the city of Edmonton. You're with me, AJ Greer. Oh, the Calgary Stampede's going to be wild.
And then, bro, look at Etu. Look at Etu, bro.
What?
Etu said thanks at Canes. And then Erod thanks at Penguins. Thanks at George for Sturm, for Hagee. Thanks at Jets for Schmidt. And then for Forsling, he has Mr. Waivers. Thanks at Canucks, Radford, Ice Hogs, Blackhawks, Checkers, and Canes. For Bob, who has already shaved his head already.
Oh, okay.
Thanks at Flyers and Blue Jackets. And he has a picture of Paul Murray saying thanks at Jets.
Oh, that one might
Jones.
dig a
And
little
then
Does he actually?
what of Maurice?
Maurice?
Not at the dinner, but just like a screenshot.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then he has one for Jones, and then he has one for Zito. Thanks at Blue Jackets.
at Milwaukee Brewers. Bad boy.
Yeah. And then
Zito got the puck. We finally found out.
Yes.
Zito got the puck. And for Barkov, Lundell, and Ekblad, they're all three in a group photo, and he says thanks at Dale Talon.
No, we did not.
Nick, do you
No, it's gone.
Nick, do you think that Paul Maurice got the game puck and then he handed it over to Zito?
I think he did. Hand it over to Zito.
You think? Okay. Also wondering if Matthew Tkachuk makes a return appearance to the Calgary Stampede this year. A little bit more trolling there ahead.
Barkov just posted a picture of Marchand saying thanks at NHL Bruins. A story.
It's just him taking pictures of the other players.
Yep.
Oh my! I love this damn team. Oh man, you know what's funny? It's like these.
We can shut up a lot of fans now. Tampa Bay fans.
Oh, that's funny.
Oiler fans. Like this series win, this Stanley Cup win, back to back. It's going to shut up a lot of fan bases. God, the Florida Panthers have.
Tkachuk did the exact same thing at NHL Bruins.
The Florida Panthers have more Stanley Cups combined than the Winnipeg Jets, Vancouver Canucks. Cody can talk about that. And what did I say? Buffalo Sabres, Buffalo Sabres, Winnipeg Jets, and Vancouver Canucks. That's wild.
It's like man, it's so crazy how it's just.
We're distracted here right now, John. We're not live. We're on the podcast.
I know.
Lots is going on here right now.
But we're in awe.
Anything else, gentlemen? Did we get to everything? We kind of had a.
Yes. Oh, stay tuned. July 1st. I'm going to be live for free agency.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever happens.
We're also going to go breaking news. If anything happens with Sam Bennett or Aaron Ekblad, if they're extending, if they are leaving Florida, we will do a special here on our YouTube channel side. So if you just listen to us on the Apple and Spotify side, you need to subscribe to the YouTube channel. This is the time of year. We're doing a lot of stuff over on the YouTube channel side.
Yeah. And I want to sign off by reading off all the teams. The Panthers now have more Stanley Cups than.
And I also mentioned off the top, or I didn't mention off air, actually. I think we had some fan Q&A, but I didn't get a lot of messages earlier today. You guys are busy. So maybe we'll do a special on that, or we'll include it on the next.
And then, but the Florida Panthers officially have more Stanley Cups than the Anaheim Ducks, Calgary Flames, Carolina Hurricanes, Dallas Stars, St. Louis Blues, Vegas Golden Knights, Washington Capitals, and that's all of them that have cups. And then if you include the teams that don't have any cups, you have the Columbus Blue Jackets, Minnesota Wild, Nashville Predators, like all those types of teams. It's insane.
San Jose.
Like,
and now we're tied with the LA Kings.
Yes, we're tied with the LA Kings. I think who else? I forget who else. We're tied with LA and Philadelphia.
Wow. Philadelphia only 2 from the 70s.
Yes. And it was just those back-to-back, the Broad Street Bullies.
Wow. That's huge. That you know how much the LA Kings, and you guys might not know the Flyers, but you know how much those 2 franchises are talked about in the annals.
Quite a bit. I think the Flyers are quite a bit.
If we're able to get one more, then it really changes.
If we get one more, we're tied with Tampa.
And we're with Chicago I'm talking about in the tied third-year run.
Oh, yeah.
In the
Oh, okay, yeah.
5,
I'm
6, 7 year
talking,
run.
talking
Yeah.
historic.
No,
All time, yes.
all time. If we get one more, we're tied with the Avalanche
Mm-hmm. Tampa.
and the Devils in Tampa.
Devils.
And then if you take a look at, we've talked about this a lot this week, like at your specific cup runs, like in your contending window. Sorry, I just pulled on my charger there. We're right around where we're exactly what the Kings did, won 2 cups.
But I just wanted to say with the Kings, Marcel Dion, Wayne Gretzky, Luc Robitaille, Kopitar, Doughty, Quick.
Marcel Dion, one of the greatest players to never win a Stanley
He's a
Cup.
guy in the Dan Marino list. I forgot him the other night. Go ahead.
But you take a look at the 2010s Blackhawks and LA Kings. If you would have told me we're going to have runs like that, like those are the teams kind of like grew up watching, right? Like that I really understood the game.
I mean, Kirby's reaction to the Devils too was more to that as well because he remembers how dominant they were late 90s, early 2000s.
Like a lot of people, they'll talk about, Tampa Bay, and it is a 3-year window, 3 straight cups, 2 wins. I get that. But to me, it's the LAs, the Chicagos. You could even go as far back to say the Detroits. The fact that we've surpassed teams like the Blues and the Capitals.
And even to sniff the Penguins, whether it's Crosby or Lemieux.
And they had a little bit of a longer run, but than like those Blackhawks and Kings teams did. But I mean, just to be mentioned in like that type, it's not like you win a cup like a miracle run, right? And
it's like you could say, Crosby can give Barkov adulation and the Panthers for this and that. But now it's like franchise versus franchise.
Yeah, and in this window, it's just crazy to think. It's like watching the Kings and Blackhawks at NBC with Doc.
But some of those teams like Boston and Rangers, they get the credit just because they're original 6.
Yeah, I don't think
they were more praised than what I think they deserve.
If Boston had won,
Boston's a model franchise. Let's not be mistaken.
If Boston had won another cup in that time in those 2000s,
but they didn't. They lost to Chicago. They lost to
St. Louis. If they would have beat St. Louis, then I think they would have been right there with.
Well, they should have lost one to Chicago probably. They gave that game away late.
Well, yeah, but they were down 3-2 in the series.
Yeah,
goes back.
But anyway, as we wrap up here, Panther fans, we say it again. Can't believe it. The Florida Panthers are once again your Stanley Cup champions.
Are we going to do this again next year? I asked, should I retire, everyone? Does everyone
want time next year?
Should I retire? Should I end out on top? Should we call it here?
It's absolutely insane because if you have been here for 5+ years, it's absolutely insane to think that
people actually know who we are now.
Just on the content front, my first year starting was halfway through the President's Trophy year. Stanley Cup Final loss, Stanley Cup Final win, Stanley Cup Final win. I cannot find in my fandom since 1993 4 years combined. Like you can't even patch together.
I'm just going to say this: how many NHL franchises, like in the at least in recent memory, have had a 4-year run like we have had? Like very few. Yeah, I'm talking about recent memory. I'm not going back to the 80s.
I mean, Tampa's 4-year run was so damn similar.
That was the start of it, and the start of the Maurice era was 2020.
I mean,
they did it with shortened seasons, and I know they're going to be like, oh, whatever. That's still like a little,
but
like that has to be mentioned. And when you're talking about their runs,
but from the outside looking in at it, they've went President's Trophy embarrassment, cup loss. We went President's Trophy embarrassment, cup loss, cup. Like
before,
and I also think
before Cody wraps here, I wanted to get this in because we're kind of talking about it now. Are the Florida Panthers a dynasty right now?
Not yet.
No, I mean
I'm going to go not yet. Ray Ferraro said yes. I'm going to go not yet.
If you talk about modern day, sure. I mean, I think you need one more to really be called like a dynasty.
But we can get that in 6 years.
Yeah, dynasty is 3 and 6 years, 3 and 9 years, something like that.
But I think they can win their third cup. I think they could happen sooner. But 5 years.
Yeah, dynasty is minimum 3.
When I think dynasties, I just think Patriots.
But look, how long was Crosby and the Penguins with their third? That was a long.
They were three cups and like 15.
But what was the from the time of the second to third one? Was it 8-9 years in between?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they count that.
I don't know if I count that.
They do. Because otherwise,
Well, they screwed around a lot early in like the early 2010s. Crosby's injury,
Crosby had the concussions and all that.
And then Fleury just gave away playoff games.
Yes, Fleury
Fire.
was, But I'll say this: a lot of teams, like when you take a look how they talk about us now, it's how we talked about these other teams, and when I hear like people compare us, like rank these top 5 teams, and they mention 2022 Avalanche or some of those Red Wings teams, right? It's just crazy to me.
Red Wings could say 96, 97. What was it? 02?
Yeah.
I'll say this: the best team I've ever seen, like most dominant.
Sorry, 97, 98, 02. I don't want to.
Most dominant cup run I've ever seen, still 2022 Avalanche. I mean, there was just no doubt. I mean, that was Cody. You remember?
Might talk about this Panther team like that a bit because of the competition.
Yeah. But I mean, that 2022 Avalanche team was just pure domination. Like
we're never going to know that with this Panther team because there was a lot of load management injuries.
Who the heck did they play in the first round?
Nashville. They swept them. Then they beat St. Louis in 6. Then they beat Edmonton in a sweep, and then they beat Tampa in 6. They were 16-4 on that cup run.
Yeah,
2 sweeps.
You're going back to Detroit.
But I think head-to-head, I think we beat that team. Because
maybe, yeah.
Because of the difference, I just think it's a net.
Yeah, and I also think some of those teams like Nashville, St. Louis is good, but and
ever since the cap era,
it all depends what Florida could do on their forecheck and how they
I think we can get McCarr to kind of cough up a little bit, but in terms of ever since the cap era, I think this Panthers team is probably second for me. I have the Blackhawks team still ahead of us.
Yeah, I would say so too.
Yes,
like
second already. That's pretty impressive to say.
Yeah, because they had guys like it's just mainly the back end. They had Duncan Keith, Brent Seabrook, Dustin Bufflin for one of them.
Yeah, that's just the one thing
I don't think LA's a little bit in the mix. We could maybe have surpassed them, but Pittsburgh as well.
One of those was kind of like a miracle run, though.
I think
the 2012.
That 2012 run.
The Tampa Bay stuff can come to an end now, and that's got to be sweet for you guys that live down there in South Florida. Nick, that goes to school in Tampa.
Oh, I'm going to be wearing this hat. I'm going to be wearing this hat all around.
They can't say anything, little brother. We're the big brother now. We just went to the gym in the off season, bulked up, and now we're beating you up, big brother. I always defend the big brothers because I am a big brother.
Look, the thing is with Tampa now. Well, us versus Tampa now they're questioning because here's the thing. They could complain about Kucherov not winning that heart at all. But the problem is I don't think he's a great leader. I really don't.
No, I don't. I think there is deficiencies in his game, and that's one of them. And it's his will and drive in the playoffs over 3 years now.
Because the one thing I always thought they were going to miss with Stamkos was the leadership. And it's
what has happened with Tampa with the identity crisis is what happened to Florida 3, 4, 5 summers ago.
Yeah, and now it's just it's Florida's league right now. It's Florida's conference. I still going into next year. I'm confident we can, depending on how the Olympics go and how fatigue is, because I don't want to count that out.
Yeah, we're gonna have an update after the Olympics on what we feel.
Yeah, I right now. I feel confident we can make it back to the Cup Final.
And again, you never know what they're going to do at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I'll say this on air: I am more confident that we go 3-peat than I initially was that we'd repeat. Like after we won last year, I was like, we're losing too much, whatever. This year, I'm like, I think we have more money, so I think our roster is going to be better to start the year next year than it was this year.
Bob on his last year.
But obviously we'll see. A lot of things can happen. Teams can get better. Injuries happen. Fatigue. You never know.
You don't know from start. People, you guys in our community, this was a big L from our community this year, having the Calgary Flames as a bottom 3 team. They are one of the best historically teams never to make the playoffs with their point production. You never know with this league.
What did they have, 96 points or something?
96, I want to say.
Okay, well, that's what we had with Bob Bugner. So we were right up there that one year.
Oh, okay.
So
I think the Bob Bugner year gets talked about a little different than Flames. Don't get mad at me, everyone that brought Bob Bugner's name. You guys always DM me when I bring his name up. But yeah, I think much better year from the Flames.
Long ways away from those days, aren't we?
But once again, thank you guys for watching. if you can give us 5 stars on Apple or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Watch this on YouTube. Hit the like and subscribe button. Once again, shout out to our boy Big C's out there, living it up. I think he deserves it. One of the best guys out there.
Yeah, huge for our community, huge for the fan base, and let's be honest, brought some national recognition to our Cats community. We've been growing here, but what Caesar did for us can't be understated. And you guys got to realize this about Caesar. It's not all about what you see on camera and all that. This dude grinds. He puts in works. He busts his hump, and he helps me a lot behind the scenes. So shout out to you.
And I don't think there's a Panther fan more deserving of the celebration they are than him.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to give that shout out to him because I do think he deserves a big part of it.
And I want to give a shout out to my co-hosts here today, Cody and Nick, for all season long. Thank you guys for being there with me and helping me out behind the scenes and being able to fill in the gaps when I'm not here. Our shout out to our guy, Canadian Ryan, who was a host for me on our Spaces post-game shows when I wasn't able to be around for some of the games throughout the regular season. Ryan steps up and not only hosting those shows.
And then
of a job there.
Shout out to our round of co-hosts this year, Carly, Lex, Vince, David T, always in the chat there helping us out, putting
David
stuff in
T
there.
Stepped up huge.
And also shout out to the new regulars in our YouTube, Antonio, bunch of other people. Lulu.
Shout out Lulu for the one person caring about Nick.
Nope, the holy water too. And Antonio's right there with her. So
Meeksy as well. He's been
Meeksy, yeah. So again, this has been 2.5 months.
Sorry if we didn't mention you, but you know who the regulars are.
Also, and you didn't have to listen to us. You can listen to anybody. A lot of different YouTube accounts. We appreciate you listening to us. 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Didn't have to stay up. But we appreciate it.
Well, I want to give a shout out one other person. Jeff, Capitals fan, was with us like every night during the
shout out Mike, the security guard at the rink.
That's right. Yeah.
Trying
to get everybody in here. Yeah.
You're trying to get everybody in, but we can't. But
shout out
just know we appreciate it.
Fernando, Die Hard.
Thieves, Derek was a big one this year for us. Appreciate it.
Shout out the all amazing Taco. Benny.
Fernando.
Ben overseas.
Yeah, Ben, we need him with us more.
Hope he's having a good time in Morocco with his fiance.
Yes, and shout out to Banksy. Thanks for being here for the trade deadline thing.
Yes,
trade deadline live stream.
And then
just all of our guests that we had.
All of the guests, everybody, will be back.
Yeah, if you spoke this year during Spaces, we thank you. Commented, liked,
but
gave us
I
a
will say
view.
this,
thank you.
Getting to experience this run with everybody in person, online, means a lot. Though when I look back at this run, I'm going to remember the games, going to remember everything else, the hangouts, going to remember sitting here at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning with you guys. These are what make the memories so great, right? It's just the people you share it with, as my brother screams in the background there. So from all of us, thank you. And as always,
and how are you going to mute yourself? And as always,
I did that. As always, let's go
Cats.
What's up, Cats and Rats fans? If you enjoyed that video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button before you head out. If you're listening to us on Apple and Spotify, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. And just like always, let's go Cats.